Log into the Video Portal's SuperAdmin UI and proceed to the Router Pool Rules tab. Here, we'll be selecting the Modified option on the top right so that we can make changes. The changes that we'll be making will require activation at the end, which will drop all current calls, and for that reason, activation typically occurs during a maintenance period or when there are no active calls. In this demo, I'll be configuring my router pool rules to provide you with a basic location tag-based routing configuration, as shown here. Registered users with the default location tag will be routed to the internal video router pool, and guest users that join will be routed to the external guest pool. First, create an internal pool and a guest pool. Next, I'll be adding the internal video router to the internal pool and the guest video router to the guest pool. The pools can be dragged and arranged however you prefer. Next, I'll be creating a connection between the internal pool and the guest pool, so that in the event that the two router pools need to cascade with one another, they will. You'll also notice that I'll be able to specify the direction of the cascade. In this demo, I'll have the internal pool connect to the guest pool. If we don't add this connection, the internal pool will never cascade with the guest pool, and therefore the participants will not be able to see one another. Next, let's proceed to the location tags page. Since I'll be using the default location tag to route internal employees to the internal video router, I'm going to add a guest location tag to route guest users to the guest video router pool. Next, we'll be proceeding to the priority list page. The priority list page is where you define which router pool or pools your endpoints will be routed to. In this demo, I will simply create two priority lists, one called internal and one called guest. As you create the priority list, you'll notice that you can drag more than one pool into a priority list, and the order of the pools will determine which pool takes priority. If the router pool that is at the top of the priority list is down, the endpoint will be routed to the next available router pool. Again, to keep this demo simple, I will simply add one pool per priority list. Next, proceed to the Endpoint Rules page. Here, I will be adding 2 location tag-based rules. The default location tag rule will capture all registered users in room systems and route them to the internal router pool using the internal priority list. For guest users, they will be captured by a guest location tag rule that will route them to the guest priority list. Next, let's go ahead and activate these changes. Please note that all active calls will be terminated, so you typically would do this during the maintenance period or when there are no active calls. We're now ready to assign the guest location tag to guest users within the tenant admin UI. Please note that I'm about to demonstrate a common mistake that superadmins make when they configure location tag rules. The step that they miss is they forget to add the location tag to the tenant. What will happen is when you go to assign the location tag to either registered users or guest users, you will not see the value in the drop-down list. If you encounter this problem, all you need to do is assign the location tags that you wish to use for this tenant to the tenant itself, and then you'll be able to see those values in the location tag drop-down list. We're now ready to test our rules. To test, simply have a registered user schedule a meeting and invite a guest user. Once both parties have joined the conference, proceed to the superadmin's Calls tab to confirm that the internal user connected to the internal router pool and that the guest user is connected to the guest router pool, as shown here. Also confirm that both parties can see and hear one another.